Two armored spearheads, one from the north, one from the sea, moved in flawless coordination to fracture Ukraine's defenses. $1.2 billion worth of tanks, ships, and men committed in one decisive strike. But by dawn, more than 50 tanks were wrecks, and 150 troops were in handcuffs. How does an outgunned defender flip the script so fast? The answer involves silent drones at 20,000 feet, radar deception, and a kill zone packed with mobile anti-tank robots. This wasn't luck, this was planned. And the lesson is one every military strategist must see to believe. Russia and China didn't send reconnaissance probes or test Ukraine's reaction time. They committed instantly to a paired assault that, in war games, looked unstoppable. From the north came a mechanized formation of over 100 tracked and wheeled vehicles designed to chew through open country and reach key road junctions before noon. From the south, an amphibious task group carrying armored personnel carriers and marines pushed toward a narrow beachhead, aiming to land in force and drive north until both elements met. The objective wasn't to capture cities for propaganda, it was to sever Ukraine into two defensible halves in less than a day. On paper, the $1.2 billion offensive left little room for a counterpunch. The operation's timing was precise, with naval and land units synchronizing their movements to the minute. Aircraft and drones swept ahead of each wave, mapping suspected defensive positions. Heavy artillery sat just beyond the horizon, ready to suppress any resistance. Both fronts moved under the assumption that once they were inside Ukrainian territory, the momentum would carry them beyond the reach of any organized defense. Enemy surveillance assets had, in the days prior, noted no major troop concentrations near their intended approach. The few Ukrainian radar stations, still visible on satellite images, emitted nothing. Ground sensors picked up minimal movement. To electronic eyes, the defending force looked scattered and unprepared. That perception was by design. 20,000 feet above the northern border, twin MQ-9B Sky Guardian drones loitered silently. Their sensors did not simply mark coordinates, they monitored the subtle details. Irregular heat signatures from engines idling too long in tree lines, convoys halting unexpectedly at crossroads without visual obstructions, dust plumes appearing in patterns inconsistent with civilian traffic. These patterns told a story of armored battalions forming up hours before they were meant to be seen. With that information in hand, Ukrainian commanders enacted a plan invisible to anyone outside the chain of command. Orders went out to shut down every active radar array within range of the incoming forces. It was a calculated choice, trading early warning capability for psychological effect. To the attackers, dead air from air defense networks suggested there was nothing awake to stop them. While the screens stayed dark, artillery batteries repositioned under cover of night into small firing elements tucked into drainage cut and behind collapsed barns. Special Forces units moved into culvert, unused irrigation ditches, and abandoned farmhouses, each with clear fields of fire, but no visible presence. These positions weren't just concealed, they were positioned so that once the lead elements entered, they could not turn or back out without crossing through multiple kill zones. By morning, the advancing columns rolled forward, believing they were pushing into undefended ground. Tracks clattered over cracked asphalt. Infantry carriers trailed just far enough behind the spearhead to avoid blocking the main armor's view. Naval infantry in the south readied themselves for rapid disembarkation, confident they would face only scattered small arms fire upon landing. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Ukraine, however, was not moving reactively. Every minute that passed before first contact tightened the loop around those spearheads. The defense wasn't linear. It was circular, already closing behind them before they realized they were inside it. What neither the tank crews in the north nor the Marines offshore could see was the final layer of that trap. Low-slung, tracked machines sitting silent in shallow water and thick mud, invisible to reconnaissance, and waiting for the exact moment to switch on. How could 50 squat, mud-caked machines stop the most advanced tanks in the field in under 10 minutes? The answer was sitting in ankle-deep sludge and shallow drainage cuts, their low profiles no taller than a crouched man. Each remotely operated unit carried a single purpose: get close enough to a tank's armor to make one perfect strike. At a glance, they looked like discarded farm equipment, rust streaking their casing, antenna masts barely showing above the ground. Overhead, surveillance didn't register them as threats. That was the point. As the lead T-90 million tanks entered a stretch of road between two irrigation channels, their mine-clearing support had already swept it and marked it safe. The mine rollers churned forward, metal teeth breaking the surface crust, sensors scanning for buried charges. They found nothing. Crews relaxed. Optical sights focused ahead. The column kept rolling. Then, the robots came alive. One unit, 3 meters from the edge of the road, surged forward on compact steel tracks. It hugged the terrain, driving straight under the side skirt of the first tank in line. The shaped charge it carried punched upward, the jet of molten copper slicing through composite armor like wet cardboard. The shockwave blew the turret skyward, spinning it into the air before it slammed down 46 feet away. The tank's ammunition cooked off in a chain of white-hot flashes. In the column's center, an ammo carrier caught a shard of burning debris. The heat reached its load in seconds. Secondary explosions ripped it apart, scattering shells across the road. Vehicles behind it halted in confusion, boxed in by those ahead. Infantry riding in open hatches ducked low. Some tried to bail out, but found themselves exposed to fire from positions they still couldn't locate. That was when the artillery joined in. Ukrainian 2S-22 Bodana howitzers, already pre-sighted on the kill zone's coordinates, opened fire from mass positions. GPS-guided shells landed within 1.7 meters of their target. The concussions flipped lighter vehicles onto their side. T-90M that had avoided the robots now found their engine decks speared by high-explosive rounds. Crews had seconds to make a choice: burn inside their armor or flee into the canal embankments. Chaos in the north had its mirror in the south, as landing craft closed on the narrow strip of beach. Bayraktar TB-2 drone hovered beyond visual range, transmitting coordinates to loitering munitions circling at altitude. The first anti-ship strike tore open the hull of a craft packed with infantry, spilling metal, fuel, and bodies into the shallows. Others caught fire before their hatches dropped, forcing troops to dive into water under machine gun fire from unseen shore teams. Coastal radar jammers targeted the guidance systems of incoming precision strike, throwing weapons off by hundreds of meters. The air defense network, active for less than 3 minutes, picked off more than 30 enemy drones before shutting down again to avoid counter-battery fire. By now, the attackers' coordination collapsed. Naval units pulled back under the cover of smoke, while the northern armor sat immobilized in a narrowing pocket. In just 16 minutes from the first robot's movement, what had been planned as a crushing hammer blow was reduced to smoldering wreckage and scattered units waving improvised white flag. Crews staggered out with hands raised, their radios silent, their armored spearhead gone, and among the burned-out shells and charred uniforms lay something Ukraine would value far beyond the victory itself: a cache of untouched equipment, maps, and electronics waiting to be examined. This fight wasn't won by more tanks or bigger guns. It was patience, holding fire until the trap closed, and shaping the battlefield. So every move the enemy made took them deeper into danger. Technology amplified it, turning mud and culverts into precision kill zones. Among the prisoners was a Russian lieutenant colonel carrying encrypted maps and frequency lists for upcoming strikes. That shifted the victory from local to strategic, giving Ukraine insight into future attacks before they start. In modern warfare, the most lethal weapon isn't what you see rolling toward you. It's the plan you never even realize is there.